In a recent episode of her show, Megyn, Kelly stirred significant backlash by questioning whether convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein should be classified as a pedophile. Her comments, which hinge on the ages of his victims, have drawn sharp criticism across the political and media spectrum. What Kelly said. Kelly stated that she knows somebody very, very close to this case in a position to know virtually everything who told her that Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. Instead, Kelly relayed that the source described Epstein as into the barely legal type. Like, he liked 15-year-old girls. She immediately acknowledged, "I realize this is disgusting." She further added, "There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old, you know?" The context. Epstein was a convicted child sex offender who died in 2019 while awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges involving minors. Recently, new email disclosures from Epstein's archives, via the House Oversight Committee, have raised further scrutiny of his network and associations. Kelly also weighed in on those emails. She conceded that they sound bad for former President Donald Trump, who is mentioned in relation to Epstein, but called the situation a self-inflicted wound by the administration, why the remarks caused outrage. Kelly's attempt to draw a distinction between what constitutes pedophilia and what she describes as attraction to very young teen types triggered strong backlash. Many commentators pointed out that 15-year-olds are minors, and sexual abuse of them remains illegal and morally reprehensible. For example, one social media post raged, "15-year-olds are children, disgusting 50-year-old men should be allowed to rape them?
Goodbye.
Forever." Critics argue that splitting hairs over definitions distracts from the severity of child sexual abuse crimes. Others suggest this kind of rhetoric begins to normalize or minimize abuse of minors under the guise of not quite pedophilia. Kelly's stated caveats. Kelly emphasized she was not trying to make an excuse for Epstein, saying, "I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts." She also noted she doesn't necessarily trust all sources, particularly pointing to former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi's earlier claims that the DOJ had tens of thousands of videos of child sexual abuse material on Epstein's computers. Kelly said that claim made her think he was a real pedophile, but she said she doesn't know whether it's true because she doesn't trust Bondi's word anymore. Implications and reactions. The episode adds to the ongoing debate over how to classify and discuss offenders like Epstein, whether terminology or semantics matter when the underlying crime involves minors. It raises questions about media responsibility. Should a public figure like Kelly be framing such issues in ways that might appear to excuse or diminish abuse? Politically, Kelly's remarks come at a time when scrutiny of Epstein's associates and network is high. Thus, the segment intersects with broader concerns about accountability, disclosure of documents, and power dynamics. For Kelly herself, social media and online commentary suggest this might damage her public standing or credibility. Some assert it could be career-ending. Final thoughts. While Kelly's stated aim was to parse definitions and share what she described as information from a source close to the case, her approach raises difficult ethical questions. Does distinguishing between attraction to very young teens versus prepubescent children make a meaningful difference in terms of consent, legality, morality, and harm? Does the language used by media figures influence how society views abuse of minors, potentially reducing outrage or liability by shifting framing? And perhaps most importantly, how do we ensure that discussions around high-profile cases like Epstein's remain focused on supporting victims and accountability, rather than getting lost in semantics? In any case, Kelly's remarks have fueled a vigorous debate, both about the meaning of pedophile and about the broader ways in which abuse of minors is talked about in media and public discourse.